chase success with Global.Media.com. Let's celebrate it with or without champagne or rum.
Yay! Okay, let me get rid of that vertical thing. I don't like that vertical thing. I can't see on my screen. Not distracting me anymore. Welcome, my friends. It's Monday. It's Annie and Dr. Paula Washington Day. You know, this is where I get to relive my reality, Dr. Paula. I'm gonna have to get rid of some of my friends. Many of my friends, maybe, right? for the very reason our topic today. I have a lot of people who talk. I do events, right? So surprise, surprise. They talk about what they want to do, what they're gonna do, what they want to achieve, how they want to be. You know what? They don't do anything. And I'm coming to this stage, you know, only since I met you, to realize I'm gonna have to let go of some of these people.
Yeah.
Because I want to be inspired by my friends. I want us to all rise together. I want us to, you know, to do magical things, change the world. But talking is not going to do it. Talking alone anyway is not going to do it. You know?
That's true. And guess what? Everybody's not supposed to go with you. Everybody can't go with you because their vision and yours are too different. And if you are called to excel beyond the level of what they can see, then they can't go with you.
That's hard to take, I must say. Let's welcome Christiana. How are you doing, Christiana? Glad you're here. You know, it's hard to take, right? Of course, if you're here, please do drop us a comment. Otherwise, we won't know you're here. You know, we might say we'll see the numbers, but we don't see the names until you do make a comment or say something. Of course, I love to work with you properly. I love to give you the adoration that you deserve for spending your time with us. See, as I said, go on, please.
And also, if you're here and you were here at our last session, I hope you did your worksheet because we do have some information about that today.
Yeah.
I would love to find out what you did with your worksheet.
Yeah, well, and everyone who was here and everyone who RSVP'd got the link sent to them. So I sent the worksheet, worksheet in the DMs and the link for today's meeting. So
we'll see.
Let's say, you know, if there's going to be further proof that my friends are talkers,
exactly,
not doers,
exactly.
Or they're going to amaze me and they're going to turn up and say, "Yeah, I've done it." You know, but I'm not expecting that. I must say, I'm not expecting that to be the case, right? You know, I expect the former, as we say in English, to be the case, where they have an excuse. Oh, I looked in it, but I didn't do it. Anyway, look, I think that what you said just now, that not everyone's at the same level in terms of achieving their dream, making their dreams come true. Yeah, that's quite scary, right?
Well, you know, I don't find it scary as I did when I was younger. Now that I'm more mature, everyone has different levels and stages of life, ages and stages. So depending on the age and stage they're at, depending on what their true reality is, how they grew up, how they frame, how they think, and the real goal as to what they want to do and how they want to get there, everyone's not going to put in the same effort. You know, you have different types of people. You have people who are visionaries. You have people who are creators and innovators and so forth. And true entrepreneurs are born, I believe, that it's in your heart and you're going to go down with that vision until you see it manifest. You know, the CEO of FedEx went bankrupt 13 times, but that last time it went through. How many people can walk that out? Not many people can walk it out till it gets to that place, you know, and so all of us, life will teach us and challenge us into change and to level up for the vision we say we want to bring to pass in the earth. And really, as an entrepreneur, how our character and how our leadership grows determines how far we excel. As you know, we talked about this morning in the marketing session we had. It was that whole about our own wealth and what that looks like and what we want to perpetuate in the future. Are you building a dynasty or what are you building? And so that determines how far a person goes.
I can accept that. I can accept that. I suppose I can only speak from my perspective, and I
Mm-hmm.
say, I'm human, like everyone else, right? And
Yeah.
I've lived that life of talking about what I want to do. I want to do a conference. I said I was going to do it this side of, I think October is what I said, because I was talking about it in the summer. I said I'm going to do it in October. October came along, and I couldn't put it on because I had other things to do. I thought December, I thought November, then December. Then I put it on January 24th. And we had to move it to February the 4th, right? February is January 26th and February 24th. So February 4th is on now, and that's it. See, the reason I'm learning to be a doer, rather than saying I want to do and then not do, I'm pushing myself to do, to make sure that if I say it, I have to do it. Come hell or high water, even if I do it badly.
That's
I have to do it because I think the cost, which is what we talk about in this room, the cost of not doing is devastating.
It really is. And you miss out, we miss out on so much. This session is called From Decision to Action, Why Talking Doesn't Create Results. And then more dreams die in
Mm,
indecision than actual obstacles. So
yes.
when we talk about, I'm not sure if anyone has did the worksheet or not, but in that worksheet, we talked about how many use the worksheet and move past hesitation. So we'll use you as an example. You decided you're going to do the conference in February. Well, now you have to put everything in place for February. You have
Mm,
to set up the all of the background work that's necessary to get that done. Then you have to delegate it, and then you have to set up a budget and all those details that go with it. So, what did you experience during the process? And you realize that you have to keep your word to yourself, because when we don't keep our word to ourselves, we offend our own conscience. And then also, we become untrustworthy to ourselves. So,
mm.
what happens when we're untrustworthy to ourselves? We don't believe it. So now unbelief sets in. And so, anytime we do something, now we're hesitant, or, we procrastinate and all these other things. It's bottom line, it's fear, all
Mm.
because we don't honor our own word to ourselves first. Then we can honor it to others externally.
You see, it is that is that vicious cycle where we tell now we have to admit to ourselves when the lights are out. We admit that we let ourselves down.
Exactly. We have
And
to
then
come clean.
that's the biggest cost I can see happening, because now if you lose faith in yourself, it's very hard to come back, right? I don't know, unless you turn it around, you're not gonna
Yes.
come back. Because now you're in a vicious cycle of, oh well, I said I would, I never do, and when I do, it doesn't work anyway because you don't put the effort in, and then that's just purgatory.
Well, it's self sabotage. It's self
Yeah,
sabotage. You know what? You're going to need faith to get there. You're going to
yeah.
need faith to get out of those patterns of behavior. You're also going to need a coach or a therapist. Depends on which. Is it an emotional issue that needs a counselor or a therapist, or is it a coach that needs to hold you accountable for you to get your, everything in alignment and move everything forward? There's difference between coaches. I'm a business coach and executive coach, and we are the ones that will move you forward. We're not going to let you wallow in just because you said you want to do it. We're going to hold you accountable. And then there are other type of coaches that will support you in other areas. But when you work with a business coach or an executive coach, or both like myself, you're going to move, because we're not going to work with you if you don't. And so these are the things that, bring clarity about our own character and our own behavior in the things that we do. So going in today's session, we're talking about the paradox of transformation, which is what you're talking about, in the fact that I'm going to do this conference, I'm going to change how I do things differently. So the question is, how many people want to achieve their dreams and transform their lives? Everybody's going to raise their hand and say yes.
Mm.
But those same people who want to transform often get stuck talking about their goals while continuously delaying the actual action required. Reason being, number one, the more you talk about something, you lose the steam and the energy. When you are going to do something, you create it in silence and create it privately, maybe to trusted confidants that you have. But the less you talk about it, the more you do. And then once it hits, it's time, you know? And so then the energy and the momentum and the excitement gets going because everybody actually see that you produce something
Mm.
and you actually see that you did it. So when we look at today's focus, we're going to look at understanding the hidden costs of hesitation. And I have a big $25,000 hesitation cost. In my book, The Encore Playbook, I put in there about I didn't apply for a particular RFP because I saw the competition and I didn't think that I could compete given the level of my company at the time. So I didn't apply. But what I found out later from the company that did offer the RFP, that nobody was granted that RFP. So I could have received that bid had I not hesitated and stepped back. You see what I'm saying? So we just have to go for it. What's the best thing that can happen? We get chosen. What's the best thing that can happen? We if we're not considered for this one, we may consider for another one. You never know what great opportunity is on the other side of just let's get it done. And
Indeed.
so after that experience, I put everything out there. I go for it. I do it and I make it happen. Because I could have had a $25,000 contract, you know.
Mm.
And I did end up working with that company several years later through another relationship. But I'm just saying, we have to stay focused on the goal. We have to set realistic, intentional goals, and we have to write them down because when you write something, the pen is the eye to the heart. So you make a commitment, and once you commit, you communicate. Then every connection you need authentically will come to you. However, if you're not authentic with yourself, you're not going to receive the right relationships. So we're going to learn from each other and we're going to build practical frameworks for 2026. And that's what this session is all about.
Awesome. You
Hmm.
see, therefore, all of this leads towards our workshop on the 12th of January.
That's true.
Again, another example of any just doing. Say we're gonna do, then we do. Rather than we talked about the workshops we've all talked about doing workshops for a long time on these events. And I've done workshops in the past.
Hmm.
Some worked, some didn't work so well. But I
Well,
say this. That I've learned something, so I'm going to implement what I've learned and see how that works this time.
Well, it's going to work because, everything that I do and everything that I collaborate in works. And
Mm.
I'm always pleased with the outcome. I'm not responsible actually for the outcome. I'm responsible to do the work and to
Yes.
prepare and present an opportunity to whoever shows up. When I first started speaking and doing training, I didn't care if it was one person in the room or 10 people in the room. I would talk to one individual like I was talking to 5,000 people. I made sure they got it. And no matter what, I remember we were doing a conference in New York, and there was this a roadway like 285 here in Georgia, there in New York, and it was a big accident. And we could see from the conference center, everybody was stuck on the highway. So you know what? We went forward with it anyway. We just did it. And when everybody showed up, they showed up. If they didn't, they didn't. Because the bottom line is integrity, giving your word and moving forward. And with whoever is there or the people that are supposed to be there at the moment. So the hidden cost of inaction is financial, lost opportunities, missed revenue, and competitors advancing. Like I said, I missed out on that $25,000 RFP. Mental, chronic stress, anxiety, regret, self doubt, loss of confidence. All of that comes when we're not true to ourselves. When we don't honor our own word, everything falls apart and we're stressed out and aggravated, and everybody's running around and nobody knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
Secondly, relational damage. You damage credibility and you lower morale with yourself, your team, your friendships, and everyone around you because of broken trust.
Mm.
And I had a client a couple of years back, and it's so funny about when you work with people that are married. The wife hired me for the husband because he had an organization problem with his business. Did very well, but he just wasn't organized. And so she would be in the background and he didn't know it. And we'd be working or whatever. And she said, I hope he gets it this time. I hope he gets it this time. And so one time he didn't know that she was back there. And he turned around with his book and showed her that he was doing the work. And I brought that up to say that's how simple it could be.
Mm. Mm.
She believed in him. She knew he needed help. And she knew she wasn't going to do it anymore. But that's how simple. Now, if he didn't follow through, guess what was going to happen with their relationship? What happens
Divorce.
with what happens with your team when you're working with people and you bring them to the table and you don't honor the relationship of who they are? You don't honor the time they spend to assist you to do what you're doing, and you don't provide them with the correct direction that they need. People leave jobs because they don't feel valued. People leave projects because they don't feel valued. And people definitely will not serve if you don't honor them and you don't provide them with the information that they need. And also that they see that you are actually doing what you say you're doing. And we have to represent that at all times and at all costs. There was so many times in business starting out and all of the crazy things that have happened to me in life where I had to pay everybody and I didn't get anything.
Mm.
When I came, when I got downsized from my last corporate job, I told my daughter, well, Christmas might be in September. Okay. It may be in October, but it may not be in December. We just gonna have to see how this goes because I was new to moving into 100% entrepreneurial experience. And so I just let her know and I communicated what that was going to be like, And so when we are honest with ourselves and say, look, I don't know if this is going to work or not, but let's do this.
Mm. Yeah,
What do you all see?
I think it's what we owe ourselves. Let me welcome Queen Leah. Always great to see you. Always great to have you here, of course.
Oh,
Christian,
Leah's here.
yeah, happy
Oh,
tonight.
the queen herself.
Yeah, she's here. Now, Christiana's enjoying the fact that she wasn't here last week, so she didn't have to do the homework. It's for your
Oh,
benefit, my friend. It's your benefit. It's not for our benefit. We know it wasn't a self-assessment survey. So if you didn't do it, you do want to do it, I assure you. But if you don't do it, oh well, it's all right. We'll survive. You'll survive too. Sharon Rose, welcome, welcome, welcome. Says right. So when you go for it and you don't get it, you learn, and the next attempt is better. Exactly that, Sharon Rose. Exactly. But it starts with honoring ourselves. It's a damage internally that really haunts me. That's what I say.
absolutely.
That's what I've learned. Not that's what I learned to do. Even if it doesn't work, at least I can. I want to say to myself, I'm not just a talker. I'm not just an information take. I'm not watching all the videos, reading all the books just for the sake of it. I'm an action taker. That's like you said, Dr. Paul. Like, what do I have to lose? I can win, or I can ruin myself internally. If I don't
Exactly.
do it, it's
Because
go on, please.
what I learned, I had a health challenge many several years ago, and what I learned through the healing process was when I bet on myself, I win every time. But
Mm.
when I bring other people in, and even those voices in my head and all of my crazy stuff, when I bring that to the table because I'm out of alignment with who I really am, I miss out on opportunities. All of the
Mm.
lost learning, then the skills and the impact that I have to make, I miss out on that. And so I vowed to myself that I would never not bet on me again and win. That if I got to do it by myself, I will do it. But I am going forward in ways that I did not do before, and which cause burnout and stress and all of those other things. I was talking with someone this morning, and we are all in that lovely golden stage of life. And the individual said to me, it would be a sin and a shame if we don't share what we have
Mm.
because the other generation coming behind us, they'll never know excellence on this level. And
Yeah.
so we are the examples of excellence, not only to ourselves, our children, and everybody around us. People who we may not even know who are watching us are watching how we do things and how we move forward and what we say. And believe me, they hear a lot more than you think. So, opportunity. So, when you're looking at the hidden cost of inaction, it's going to cost you money, it's going to cost mental stress, going to affect your relationships, and you're going to lose opportunities.
Mm,
When
that's
we
true.
look at the discussion point, and I'd love for everybody in the chat to chime in on this. What is your experience of delaying action to create solutions and implement your ideas? So, some of us have created things and we delayed taking action, as Andy talked about, and he had to move his event to February. What is someone in the chat? What do you all have to say about that?
Yeah, it's a fair question. There's more people here, but of course, all of you could comment. If you, and I say those who are Alavine, I see you. I've lost my screen for the event. I've lost my LinkedIn screen with the event. Okay, let me try and find it. There
Okay.
it is. So Alavine's here. Who else is here?
Oh, Sharon.
Yeah,
Sharon,
Sharon Red's here as well.
let me ask you, Sharon, what has been your experience when you delay taking action?
Well, I'll share mine. You can join the studio to share, my friends. So the link is on the event page. So,
Exactly.
but you've only got a few minutes, if I'm being honest. So there's going to be
Okay.
a quick, right? I
Well,
think
we
Alavin says the worst part of the bill is regret.
exactly. And guess what? Those regrets add up, and then we're in grief.
Mm,
And so, grief is different from loss. Loss, you have hope, but grief, you don't have hope. So, the more take you don't take action, the more grief you give yourself. And then you wonder why sometimes you just have this like sorrowful feeling in your soul and you don't know why you can't get up. And you really want to get up, but you don't know why. And what is it? And it's those times that you are still regretting. So it's time to let those regrets go and say it was what it was. I was in the picture. For me, I say I was the fire in the frying pan. I created the frying pan and then jumped out the frying pan. So it is what it is. Crazy and chaos. We all do that in our growth process. But there comes a point where we have to be accountable and step up and do what we need to do. So that's the bottom line. We just have to do it. And even
for
if
sure.
you create goals
Mm,
strategically and incrementally, that's better than actually creating all these lofty things that you may not be able to attain. I like this. She said, missed out on a great magazine exposure, global exposure. I understand what that's like. I missed out on a global stage at one point because I shrunk back um,
mm.
at that time, and so I do understand the cost of exponential, not linear.
It's true,
Mhm.
because it's almost incalculable.
Yes.
What we miss out on, because this thing could be the start of the success that we dream of. You talked about excellence earlier, Dr. Paula. I think I saw somewhere yesterday. We can all achieve excellence. What we can really aim for is greatness, because we can achieve that too. Only a few can. Are we one of the ones who's destined for greatness? I think we are. Yeah.
all Everyone has an opportunity to be great in who they are and what they were created to be.
Mm,
It is,
mm,
are you willing to pay the price to
yeah.
walk at that level of excellence,
Mm,
walk at that level of discipline, walk at that level of accountability? And there is a form of loneliness that comes with that, because the more you strive to go where you're called to go, the less people are going with you. And can you do that? Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to step up and step out? We have to look at those barriers and that cause us to uh, shrink back when it comes to execution. We have to look at how we implement things, when we implement things, the timing of implementing things. I remember when I first got the vision for my businesses, I was running out there ready to do everything, but it wasn't time. I was new. 1 to 5 years, we're doing good if we keep the business going.
Mm,
1 to 3 years. And here I was having all these lofty ideas and all of that. It was not time. That's why they didn't work. Everything's shipwrecked, not because I didn't have it in me. I had to mature into it. I had to become who and what I say that I am in order to bring forth what is in me and yet to discover. Because for me, I believe as we grow older, the best is coming out of us now as
mm.
opposed to when we were coming. The journey was to form who we are as an individual
Yeah.
and staying true to our identity in the process and knowing who
Yeah.
you are, owning that thing and walking in it without question.
See, and that's why I like Alavin's response. My experience of delaying taking action to create solutions is losing my identity. It really
Absolutely.
is that. Who you be? That's the
Exactly.
question, really. And
Mhm.
again, Queen Leah, I agree with you. It's a missed opportunity. And
Yeah.
Alavin, you're on fire today, my friend. As you say, talk. It's talking about what doing and talking without doing. So stopping your car to answer someone's requests and then trying to drive again over and over and over. You can't keep stopping, right? You can't keep. It's a distraction beyond belief. It's a distraction that's almost terminal, right? You're never going to get there, and that's a problem.
And
You know.
when if depending on what your faith is and what you believe,
Mm,
if you believe in God and you believe or you have faith, then you're created in the image of greatness.
I
So
agree.
you let your own greatness down when you don't live up to who you are. When I
Mm,
look at the people in my family that have gone before me, I don't have the right to sit down and be mediocre.
mm. I
None of
tell
us
you,
do. I
it's a,
mean, none of the people before us
mm.
are the ones after us. Not, we don't have the right to sit down and be mediocre. Yeah, we can have a moment and
If
maybe
you
a
know,
few moments, but we have to get back up again, pull it together, and get it together and get going.
if you
Because
know how true that is, Dr. Paul, seriously,
yes, I do.
I'll tell you, I'll tell you my story in a moment. Modeling standards of excellence. Yes, it can be lonely, and it normally is. The higher up you go, the more lonely it is, especially in business, right? And yes, you get out of the
Absolutely.
fire and you get out of that frying pan. When Christiana asked, well, let me welcome Carla. How are you doing, Carla? Success and greatness comes with a price. It really does. Are we willing to
It
pay the
really
price?
does. It
So
does.
Christiana asked, do you know, have you come across the 1% diary? I haven't. I don't know if you
Yes.
have.
Yes.
You read it?
Not the whole thing, but I've come across it. Yes.
Okay. What I could ask, what's the basic concept?
Well, the 1%, I don't want to go into all of that, but
Mm,
when you're looking at the 1%, how did they get there?
mm, mm.
What price did they pay?
Extraordinary effort, extraordinary everything, belief, and vision, and taking action, right? Extraordinary action.
Number one, commitment.
Mm,
They are committed. No holds barred. They are committed. They're going to take it all the way until they can't take it anymore. They're going to run that plan. They're going to you think about, the light bulb. You think about every invention we had. The
mm.
individual that created it stuck with that invention until it manifested.
Yeah, yeah.
It
Until
didn't
it
matter
became
what,
reality.
exactly. It didn't matter what form.
Mm,
I worked at IBM many years ago. I remember the manual typewriters we typed on. I remember the electric typewriters and all the different levels of computers. Okay, so that was all started with a vision.
mm.
We had the rotary phone, and now look at the cell phone. We have cell phones now. The children don't even know what a rotary phone is. Okay, we had albums and CDs and cassettes. They have no clue what that is. So moving right along, we're going to talk about discussion point three: which strategies help us shift.
Yeah, I want to show my video. I want to show my video. It's only 50 seconds.
Okay,
Just to remind our friends about the importance of moving beyond hesitation. Really. And I said, well, when I found this, I thought this is powerful because it's the point. It's only 50 seconds, my friends. Let me share it now.
So remember, wherever you stand, whatever jump currently awaits, any impact into the pool that calls you will be less severe than the pain or even suffering of hesitation, the purgatory of being indecisive. Because after all, no decision is still a decision, and perhaps the most painful decision, the most costly of decisions. Jump knowing that you're leaping not just away from stagnation, not just away from that discomfort or that pain, but further into life. So remember, wherever you stand, whatever jump currently awaits.
Stop with that now. That's the pain of not doing, Dr. Paula, the pain of not doing. Many people are happy to suffer it. When you ask the question, what keeps us stuck? It is enjoying our comfort zone. It's enjoying the pain, and people do enjoy the pain. I don't know what you think, Dr. Paula. People do enjoy the pain. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and I'm thinking, and I'm like, look, now's the time to rise. And he said, Annie, I'm depressed. One day I might find a way. But for now, I'm just happy and comfortable being depressed. I'm like, you're going to depress forever. It's not going to change unless you change. That's a stunning realization, let me say, right? I said I'll tell you a story. Let me do it briefly. See, I was born in the UK. I grew up in Nigeria. My parents ferried my sister and I off to our grandparents, right? I grew up with in a family of 7 doctors, a lawyer, and an architect. Lo and behold, my dad comes to rescue us as teenagers. Come to the UK. We'll find ourselves in state care. I'm thinking, Annie, you're ruined. Listen, everything. How can you be part of the family of people who they're so well-to-do? So I talk about this when I do public speaking. Even though my message is simply my uncle Vasco. He has 7 Mercedes, all of them, all the Mercedes in gold in Nigeria, all of them, from the Jeep to the 2-seater. How can I be one of that family and I turn around and say, oh, sorry, I failed because I grew up in state care, in foster care. I couldn't. That is what drives me every day, Dr. Paula. That's what drives me. I have to. You and I spoke the other day. As I said to you, I want the doctor's badge next to my name, right? Because of my family background. I can't let myself down like that. I have no excuse not to be that great, not to at least try. I don't know. I hope everyone feels the same push to be great, to achieve the greatness, to do what life has given them to do. Yeah, Alexis, I see you. Of course, I see you. Alavine says commitment, but also knowing when pausing, and I guess having an order to think and reflect, and therefore getting clarity. If you are still aligned or need to adjust, I get you, Alavine. Yeah. So, Dr. Paula, how do we move from talking to implementation? Or you can comment on that. You take it from wherever you like, really.
Okay, so if you look at this table here, they're all looking at these plans and they're trying to figure it out, right? So, which strategies help us shift from discussion to implementation? Well, actually, there's a process, and there's the way that we analyze things and we lay things out. So, when you're moving from theory to practice, you write it out. You come up with a plan. You outline a plan. You get people to buy into the plan, and then breaking the inertia of that, we want to build a momentum with small wins. So we look at things that we can achieve quickly or move forward in a lot quicker than some of the things that would take a longer period of time. So what does that do for the team? It gives them small wins. It gives them motivators, boosters to help them keep building momentum. when I am doing a new project, what I'll do is I will look at the parts of that project that I know that I can achieve a lot quicker than I could some of the other ones. In writing this book that we're going to be publishing out this week, that was how I put that together, the same way. And so what happened? It allowed me to be able to create it and finish it a lot sooner. And sometimes you'll find that it may not even be what you're doing, it could be how you're doing it. It could be a process that you're doing. I have several processes that I use with my clients that I lay out depending on how they learn and how they think will help them execute a lot quicker and implement things. And then what we do is staff your weakness. You know, we all have weaknesses, we all have blind spots. So we staff that with people around us that are excellent at what they do. And that might not be the best thing for me to do or pay attention to. So those are simple little things that you can do to implement something. And then once you begin to implement it and you're planning it and putting it together, now we have to test it. Before we execute it, there has to be a pilot. There has to be some form of proof of concept that
Yeah.
that's the direction to go. So they got all the plans there. They're working it all out. They're going to throw it up on the wall again. I'm still using the whiteboards. I have my whiteboards. I have my sticky notes because that's how I create. And so, believe it or not, the people that I collaborate with, they use the whiteboards too. So, whatever works for you, whether you're using mind mapping tools online, whether you're, doing however you do your meetings or whatever, however you work with your team and work within your own structure, you build that out and make sure that it is cohesive for everyone to be able to move forward.
For sure. The Sharon Rose says, have a single focus.
Absolutely.
Wouldn't that be good? But no, but life gets in the way, Dr. Paul. Like, we've got other things to do at the same time, right? I think I'll take your small wins concept. I really, and that's important.
Exactly.
And small wins can be just taking a step. If I use my conference in February as an example, the first thing I did was write the outline. Why are we doing this? What are we doing? How's it going to work? Just that alone gave me the confidence to reach out to people to sponsor the event. I reached out to you to come and be one of my speakers. And you said yes. So I'm saying, right. So suddenly I'm thinking, yeah, I'm on my way. I'm a long way from a conference, but at least I've got a speaker. I have an idea what I'm trying to do. And the next thing was get to sponsor. So someone said yes. I'm like, okay, I got 2 sponsors now. I'm saying those little steps, just take a step, take a step, take a step.
Exactly.
And it builds but see, it comes back to where we started off today, Dr. Paul. It's an inner confidence thing that we're trying to build.
Exactly.
What if your whiteboard is your soul?
It is.
Which tells you, I've done this before. I know what I'm doing. As opposed to the opposite, which is, what the hell? I don't know anything. I'm gonna fail. I never do anything correct. I never do anything anyway, right? I have all these big ideas, and they never live. That's what you don't want to tell yourself, right? That's what you don't want to tell yourself.
Well, and there comes a point where we just grow up and we say, you know what? I'm done with all of that stuff. Okay, either I'm going to do it or I'm not. You're going to be hot or cold. You're going to go or you're not. Okay, stop with it. Yes, we have to feel the feelings. We got to go through the emotions, and then we got to get to the next step. Because it's going the distance. The race isn't given to the swift; it's given to the one that endures. So if you're going to run this race called life, and you want to get to the stages of life where you're most productive, which is after your 50s, and you're most rewarded, where you are bringing value beyond belief, where you are seeing yourself soar in ways that you never have. And you haven't been that way before, so you're feeling your way through, but you can trust yourself. Then all of that other rhetoric has to go out the window. Yeah, you can have a pity party for about 5-10 minutes and let it go. If you have to. If you have to go find something to do some activity, work out, go whatever it is you do to regenerate yourself, and alleviate those thoughts. Because we're human beings and we have to feel what we feel, see what we see, and experience it. But we don't have to wallow in it.
I agree. I couldn't agree more.
So,
Yolanda, I see you. Welcome, welcome. Go on, please carry on. Please, sorry. I have to welcome everyone. Let me put it on big screen so they can see. So, so we've got a couple of minutes left, Dr. Paula. So talk us through it. Let's see what we're meant to do.
okay, so we do have the 2026 action framework, which is very simple based on what I talked about today. This is just a very high level of it, but we identify the priorities. You select top three, not 10, because we can come up with a long list. You're not going to do it. Top three priorities you want to achieve. You have first, second, third, and fourth quarter. In the first 3 quarters, you want to achieve at least those top three. What makes the biggest difference? Whatever makes the biggest difference, that's the one you look at first, see what it's going to cost and how much time it's going to take to implement that, to execute it, to plan it and move it forward. And that may not be the one you start with, but that may be the one you work with in the background because it's going to take the longest. And then the other two might be the ones that you start with and move forward, because as they pick up momentum and steam and get executed and they're implemented out, then it gives you more space and more time and more room to work on that larger project. You define your actions. Okay, 3 to 5 concrete, measurable actions per priority. So there are different tools you can use. I use the Lean Sigma DMAIC tool, where you define it, you analyze it, you measure it, and so forth. And you look for where there could be risk or waste in time, money, and so forth. And in doing that, you align those things all with those projects, and you actually can map out a clearer path. Because when you incorporate risk, when you could incorporate, well, what are the time wasters, or why do we want to do this, and what is the results and outcome we're looking for, and if we do this, what will that outcome be, and start to analyze it from a different perspective, it will help you move forward a lot quicker in defining your actions. Then you're going to schedule your steps. When will you act? Put it on your calendar. We know how the calendar works. We don't manage our time, we master our time. You look at the time and the energy it's going to take. You look at, how you color code it, however you work with your calendars, and you're going to master the time for each project and for each idea you can look into pursue. Also, the people that you're going to be working with and how that looks. Also the budgets and everything that you are looking to achieve. That's what you're going to do in that schedule your steps, and create accountability. Who checks in? How will you track your progress? There are tools and systems that you can use to track your progress. There are definitely, you should have some type of accountability partner, whether you have a coach or trainer or a teacher or your team, whomever you have accountability partner, to make sure that your framework that you set up for the idea and the project you want to execute can come to pass. So this is just a simple way in looking at 2026 going forward. It's also a way at looking at what may not have worked in 2025 and why, and maybe some of those things you may want to revisit moving forward. Uh, any questions?
No, no, I can't see the question. Oh, my phone is destroyed. I can't tell anybody now.
Okay, we're hearing some feedback.
I got through it. Yeah, I'll stop you now. So let's get rid of that. Oh no, I'm still talking to myself. Anyway, look, let's call it a day. My son is waiting. I don't know what's going on.
Well, I thank everybody for coming, and I love your comments and the 1% diary. Of course, that's about habits and things, but it's also too having that 1% mindset. You want to be in the 1%. That setting up the right habits and priorities will help you get there. And
I love Queen Leah's comment, which this is what I will leave you with. Know that you can trust yourself and go.
absolutely bet on yourself and win every time.
Exactly. My friends, look, join us again. We've got one more show before Christmas, before our workshop on the 12th. Of course, we'd love to have all of you there. If you're ready to make, to take the next big step, say it's not just about starting. This is also about aiming for greatness. That's what this event is, right? That's what our workshop is. So if you're doing good already, is there greatness that awaits you? How do you get there? Dr. Paula has all the answers.
I have some of the answers, not all of them.
Yeah, well, you have one. I suppose now we have the rest of them, right?
Okay.
We have the answers ourselves. Look, my friends, let's take life seriously. Let's take our life seriously. It is. Now we want to be part of that 1%. We really, really do. Dr. Paula, thank you so much. My son is waiting. I don't want to lose him to social care today.
Okay. Everyone have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you so much for coming. Bye-bye.
Connect with Dr. Paula. Go in the comments. Talk to Dr. Paula for sure. Let's do that. So my friends, take care. Take care, everyone. Take care.
Every step forward is a new beat to your drama. She's success with Global.Media.